We're here with SP Thane, a poet and writer who's recently had his work published in an anthology which was called
The Turning Point.
The Turning Point. And we're here to talk to him about poetry and the way he's gone about his poetry and the way he writes and where he's going from here. So first of all, where did your inspiration for poetry come from?
So my inspiration came from listening to a lot of rap when I was younger. My brother was a massive hip hop fan, classics of 50 Cent, Eminem, Pac, Biggie. You could name the list. The list goes on. And ever since I was younger, I've listened to whatever he listened to, and then growing up as well, I listened to a lot of varied music. My dad was a massive Bruce Springsteen fan. My mum loved Take That, and we in the household we had so many different genres. And then growing up, I started hanging around with a lot of people who listened to rock and metal, and growing up I listened to so many different variants of music. Eventually I started thinking I could be a rapper. When you're 16, you go, you want to be famous through something. So I started exploring that, and I always listened to people like Devlin and Wretch 2 and Akala, Low Key, Mike Righteous, and then obviously the classics I mentioned of Eminem and Pac. And just from there I started having a go, and I never really understood the methods. I just kind of used to write, and I used to write an entire page, and it would be a total, like most rap verses contain a 16 lines. I would write 30, 40 for one verse, and then eventually I learned when I was in school, I met I had a friend whose brother rapped. I met him, and him and another friend that lived down the road in Kinton. We all got together around the same time, and we all wanted to record. And one of them had the friend of a friend had a recording studio, and they taught me how to write 16s. They taught me how to flow and work on everything. So I took it quite seriously, and then I started looking into the means of, okay, I know they use the methods to express themselves, but what are they? So then I started researching, metaphors. I'd always used metaphors, didn't know what they were though, and then used similes, and my writing style kind of developed through there, and just nitpicking the bits I liked, and kind of developed my own writing style from there. And then eventually people had pointed out the means had pointed out that my style was quite Shakespearean. Like when I write my poetry, I write in this particular style, as in rap I'd always go for whatever my mood was or whatever I'd previously listened to. It's always been quite heavily influenced, so the way I write is kind of a mixture of what mood I'm in. It's never one style, but the flow's always the same, I've always found.
Do you think it's imperative that a poet has to rhyme, everything in poetry has to rhyme, or do you think it's better if it just flows, and does that depend on the poet, or how do you feel about that in those terms?
For me, I love clever wordplay. I think if you want to write something to catch attention, I think everyone always has their own depths to it, and I personally get a little annoyed if people don't quite get my metaphor or something, but I like to throw in something clever to see if people do pick up on it, and every now and then people surprise me, and they'll even go, "Oh, did you look at it this way?" And I went, "No," but I think it's down to the artist. Because if we sat there and went, every poem has to rhyme, not everyone can rhyme. Not everyone can. You can have your basics like the fat cat sat on the mat, but not everyone has the ability to rhyme all the syllables and rhyme everything. So it comes down to the artist, I think. But I think it has to make sense.
Yeah.
It has to make sense. It has to be passionate, because I think that's what poetry is.
So in terms of the work you do, how did it come about that you started on social media, and then you started getting published? Was that something that you aimed for, or was that something that just came about randomly, or how did it work?
So I think it was October last year. I had a bit of difficult time. I was going through a lot of mental health issues, and I had a breakdown in the October, and I sat and I said to myself, I was like, things are going to change. And it was to the point of I want a new job because work wasn't treating me the greatest. I wanted my own flat. I wanted to move out. I wanted to expand. I wanted the room and the space to express myself. And that all happened. It was that positive thinking that, I think quite a few people have read The Secret and the Law of Attraction, and it's something I do believe in, and the positive vibrations and stuff. So all of that has happened, and part of my list of things I wanted was, I'm going to take this seriously. I'm going to write my poetry or rap. Well, I didn't really know what I was going to do. I know I just wanted to just do it. Just do good. Like on my Instagram page it says writer, wannabe author, lyricist. Like I do all of it, and I just wanted to put it on a platform. And I've never had the intent of. I'll be honest. I did it. I always knew the word anthology, but I didn't know what it fully meant. And then someone messaged me about like being in an anthology. I googled it and I went, yeah, absolutely. But I never had the intent at this time. My intent was, I'm gonna write some poetry, put it on Instagram, start building the fan base a little bit, start working on some projects and da-da-da. But it's like be careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
In this sense, so I've just gone with it. I've just flowed with it, and I'm getting published in an anthology.
In terms of the way you portray yourself and the way you portray your poetry, where did your name SP Thane come from?
I was dangling with this the other night actually, and I was like, where did it? Because I've always told people where it came from, and then I was like, where did it actually come from? And I was kind of through doing music and doing other things, I've always developed alter egos, and I've always developed something. And I've always found it cool, and like J.K. Rowling, the abbreviation. So I always wanted that abbreviation, like George R. R. Martin and stuff like that. And I was just like, what could I do? And I was like, right, the SP is a given, and also the term SP, it's a phrase me and my friend always use, and it's always, what's the SP? What's the situation's progress? So I went, that's a cool little nod to that, but it's for my first name, which is Sean, and my middle name, which is Paul. So SP and that, and then the name Thane was quite cool, and I've always liked the name, and it actually came from a game, one of my favourite game characters from the Mass Effect trilogy, although he's in only 2 and 3, which was Thane Krios. And he was one of the most interesting characters, even though he's like an alien assassin. But he had this, he has the ability, and his race have the ability of having eidetic memories. And he would, it sounds a bit dark, but he would, when you engage in conversation with him in the game, he will sit and he will tell you on the day like every kill he's ever had. And he'll describe like the colour of the sunset matching with the wind, and how they did it was poetic, and how he expressed. And I just went, not only is he one of my favourite game characters, but the way he does it also ties in. And it was just SP Thane came to my head. I said to a few people, what do you think of the name? And it's cool, I like it. And Thane's not a very common name, because I even googled it, and it's an old English title, but it's not, you don't, and I've even googled it or put it on Facebook, and it's not a common name, so I went.
Finally, what do you've had one piece of poetry published, what's next for you in terms of writing and in terms of music? Where are you going with this now?
I have got plans. I'm kind of going with the flow, but what I'm working on now, obviously the anthology's coming out, and I'll be putting out where you can buy that from. It's going to just be on Amazon. It will be shipped over from India, because the people I'm doing the anthology with was a company in India, and so that'll be available. But it's going to be, I'm looking at getting YouTube and then the website and everything, and it was only the other day, actually, before I published, I sent my work in on the 25th of July, and then the day before that, what was quite interesting was my mate sent me my first ever EP I did, my first ever music EP, and I went, see, this is where all the things start coming together. And then I started thinking about my other content. So I've got my old music EP I'm going to put out. Obviously I've got the anthology that I'll promote, and then my current project I'm working on is is an EP called Elements, and it's all going to be spoken word, and I do plan on putting it on Spotify. And Elements comes from, I was sat on watching TV, and I was watching Avatar. I was watching the old animated Avatar, and in it was just random episodes I was watching, and it was good old Uncle Iroh who was talking about like love of writing. The way they wrote that character was magnificent, and I love Makao, who played Iroh. So Uncle Iroh starts talking about the meaning behind the elements and like the four nations, and I kind of wanted to do my own spin on it. And each title, like so, water. There's the journey of water is literally about the journey of water and like the metaphorical journey that takes place, and all of those are going to be it's just going to be 4 tracks on the EP. And then for a bit of promo, what I was going to do like a retake of the EP, which would be like more of a on YouTube and stuff, and it's going to be with friends, so I'm going to get other people to read it in their own way and whatnot. And that was going to be like Elements, Second Nature, just to play on that. And then lots of little EPs and little projects with friends and to collaborate with other people, I think, going forward. So just a lot more different writing, expanding on my writing. One of my things I wanted to do was actually put out a form of a book. I've been one of the people I've been working with and is doing my artwork for the Elements EP, which he's also been doing the artwork for a manga or comic book I've been working on. So there's lots of different things I'm working on, but I'm just going with it and seeing what happens. But now is the perfect time to do it all. Till my blood turns to alcohol, till the air in my lungs suffocates my soul, till the structure in my chest falls and my bones break away, decay and crumble, until you aren't there at all, until there is no use of my cardiac muscle and the inner spark ignites and burns my internals. When I'm ash on the floor and the damage is irreversible, these were going to be the first and final notes in my journal. But now I can communicate this verbal. I did this for the kid with dreams, the kid who at 16 was writing 16s, wanting to be on the big screen. I did this for him and I did this for me. I am not what you made me, and I am not your property.